Morning.
Morning.
Got mixed feelings. Tim told me I had as much time as I wanted. Mark glared at me and told me I had 11 minutes, so we're going to try to get through this as fast as possible. But give you a few updates. I want to talk about Grand Lake dredging. I'm also going to show you some new technology that we're going to implement at Buckeye Lake. This will be a 30-day pilot study. This not only helps Buckeye Lake, but it also helps all the dredging across the state of Ohio. So I'll give you an opportunity to take a look at that. But first, Grand Lake, during the winter, spent a lot of time repairing the equipment. We're reclaiming the service area DMRA, which is located right behind the state park. We're reclaiming Park Grand DMRA, so we can pump over there. We continue to work at the Winnie Point Nationwide 27, which, you know, that's going to take some time just because concrete's not real available right now, you know, with the winter months. So as we get concrete, we'll keep going with that. So projects on the list for 2016, and a lot of these will probably carry over into 17. Riley Bay West, we'll continue that, what we left off last year. Wright State College Bay, Rustic Haven Bay, South North Shores Lagoon Bay, which where the lagoon is and the tube comes out. We'll be getting that all cleaned out in front of it. Breezewood Channel, Prairie Creek, Coldwater Creek Bay, Montezuma Silt Trap, which that's what we'll be using Park Grand DMRA for. Sailboat Club, and the service area channel. So there's some other projects that we're looking at, but they kind of hinge on if I can find a relocation area, and they're actually on the north side of the lake, so I don't want to really elaborate on that too much until I talk to a couple of these property owners that I'm going to be meeting with this coming Friday. So, okay. It's a good thing, Coldwater Creek treatment train, we're going to be able to pump into that this year. The capacity of that's about 570,000, something like that, 600,000. So we're real pleased with that. It's not a lot of yards, you know. And what I'm going to be showing you here on the slide, this might help alleviate us having to go out and make land acquisitions. This is not a for sure deal. This will be a pilot study for 30 days, $300,000 pilot study. But it shows merit. We've got to look at this for a future down the road. We've got to look at it. It's getting tougher and tougher to find places to put this material. So we'll be running this pilot study. Eventually I want to be up to about 1,000 cubic yards a day that we're going to be pumping into this machine. This machine is capable of handling 4,500 gallons a minute. So it puts out stackable material, passes a paint filter. We'll be monitoring the effluent, make sure the effluent's crystal clear. EPA will actually be on site pulling samples. I want to see how much phosphorus is removed out of the material or removed from your effluent. I want to see what the phosphorus, your suspended phosphorus going back into the lake is compared to what we are actually capturing inside the filtered material. So a lot of things going on. I'll try walking you through this as we play the video, just to point out a few things. For me to go over this whole process with this dewatering, it'd take us hours. Okay, so what I want to do, get through this. Our pilot study starts April 1, weather pending. Hopefully we don't have any snow, this and that. All the equipment is actually on site right now. It took 26 trucks and trailers to haul all this material in. So it's going to be a big footprint there at Buckeye Lake. I know once we start this, we'll have hundreds of people watching this process. So I'm excited about it. It's been a 2-year deal that I've been trying to work out, and finally it's going to happen. This machine comes at a price of about, that's just the machine itself, not including some of the support equipment, $2.5 million. So very high expense. Now we're going to go out and buy 30 of these, we're going to go out and buy, no, it's not going to happen. We've got to prove that this machine is going to work. In the laboratory it does, but we got to do it real life. We're going to be keeping track of everything, so hopefully at the end of April I have some updates. I kind of show you what we got going on. So, Mark?
turn that mic off, would you mind?
A true technological innovation in the dewatering of dredging, mining, and oil sands projects. The Genesis Water Rapid Dewatering System is a study in elegant simplicity. Through a multi-phase approach, the Genesis system handles thousands of gallons of slurry per minute, immediately releasing large volumes of water while recovering and
You can see all the water coming out of the tubes. That was our discharge water coming off that, our effluent.
Founder Michael Hodges will take us step by step through the system that is revolutionizing complicated water project.
I'm going to shut it off. I'll kind of explain. There's a feed coming into the plant where you seen it was all dark. What it's doing is being run across several shaker screens. This material is being polymerized, which in turn makes it flocculate. So you're taking a piece of, if you can break down your particulate into size, if you can break down your particulate into size, so you take something the size of my finger, blow it up twice. That's called flocculating. What that does is allow the material to run across the screen and allow the water to go through the screen. I don't need all these gadgets, Mark. Jesus, Pete. So you'll see the tear totes once this, and I'll point it out once they showed it again. This material, there's the dredge sediment. It's flocculated. It's going in there called tear totes, which also has a dewatering process in it. So you're going to see it, and then you're going to they're going to show an excavator pulling this material out, which is a dry stackable material. This actually breaks, this machine breaks it down in sizing. You know, you'll have a rock box that's a shaker screen, allows the rock, the debris, the beer cans, everything to go off one side. And then we'll break it down to sands, clays, silts, so it breaks it all down. This was actually a job site down in Florida. That's as it comes off the screens, and then hopefully they show it going into the boxes. This they don't. This dewaters so well that they're just running on the ground, probably taking an excavator or a wheel loader and moving it. So I'm hoping they show these screens again, which is a process that we're going to have to use.
Hey Tom, you
Yes.
mentioned this can handle 4,500 a minute.
Yep.
What does Brutus put out?
That's what Brutus puts out.
That's more
So we size this machine to our dredges that we got in our fleet across the state of Ohio, which was the biggest one we got is a 470, and that's the highest flow rate, so that's how we come up with the sizing of this machine.
Do they have their own power for this, like generator and all that?
No, actually I got to rent a generator. It takes 1,200 kW, so I'm gonna have to rent. So that'll be coming from CAT. Put that out for bid. So it's about 1,200 amps, 480, three-phase. It'll be all three-phase. So chemicals will be added to this. They're polymers. There's two different types of polymers that are going to be added. I actually had them send me the MSDS sheet yesterday. This does not affect fish, any kind of wildlife habitat in the lake. So but that will also be monitored. Everything will be monitored as far as our effluents going out by the EPA. That's actually the dosing for the polymers. It's a separate trailer. It's all computerized. There's a tank that's called a dose down where they add water to the polymers. It will actually be in a liquid form that's being injected into the mixed tanks, the slurry tanks.
When you said EPA is monitoring the outfall, do you know what specifics they're going to be looking for?
They're going to be looking for particulate going back into the lake. They want to see how we can get this cleaned up. Okay. Another thing they want to do is seeing if we're dropping phosphorus out of the process when the effluent, the return water goes back to the lake.
So they're gonna be taking it upstream, downstream type of thing, that's
Yeah.
the game plan? Okay.
We'll get it coming in, we'll get the material coming out, and we'll get the effluent side coming, or going back to the lake. You can see the footprint, how big of area you need for this. So ours will be similar. We're going to try to shrink it down a little bit, just because with all the dam work here at Buckeye Lake, we need our footprint to be a little bit smaller.
Is this dirt going back in the dam, or?
Not at this point. I mean, what we want to do is there's a lot of different ways that this material can go. One for capping for landfills. One to be reapplied onto farmers' property. Could it maybe possibly as a 6-inch lift go across where the dam is to plant the grass? There's a possibility. None of that has been determined yet, and I don't want to determine any of that. It's not my call, but I want to make sure this system works. We're not going to put our cart, ahead of the horse. You can see that's where it's flocculated coming off the screen.
So at one time that was dissolved solids.
At one time it looked like when we're pumping in, looks like not dissolved, suspended solids. Yeah, that's your slurry. Okay, that's what's coming through the pipe. You can see how it kind of breaks up. That's after it's been dosed with polymers. And that's just allowing the water release from it. There is actually the effluent coming off of that machine. What they did is ran pipes underneath, put it in a holding area, ran pipes to pump it up, just so everybody can see the clarity of their effluent, plus create oxygen into that area. There's the effluent there.
Don, you got a question?
Yeah.
You said they had polymers? What are polymers? Isn't that plastic?
Polymers.
Isn't that plastic?
Polymers actually explode each individual particulate. Actually makes it bigger. This material actually, pardon the language, but it looks like snot is what it does. It adheres to the particulate.
What is it? Is it plastic? What is it?
No, I don't know the chemical makeup. I mean, I can find that out, but I don't know the chemical makeup of that. So,
I thought polymers were plastic.
Polyphenols are plastic, I think. So I don't think this has anything in that. But it's like a booger. It's a snotty stuff that actually blows that particulate up. So I can find more out, on the chemical part of it, on that. But there's the material. Once it actually goes through the teratotes, so you can see it's dry. I've been reassured that all the work that's been done with this material, actually I've seen some samples that it was stackable, passes a paint filter, so in return it's truckable at that point.
Tom, would you agree that if this works, to our expectation, this is a game changer for your work?
Oh yeah, it changed the dynamics of dredging altogether. Altogether. I think I got more of a fighting chance by having dry stackable material that I can run off conveyors, have trucks come in, 40-yard trucks, dump trucks, it doesn't matter, I want the stuff gone, versus filling up pits, letting them sit there for 5 years and then naturally dewater. This is saving, actually it saves me a lot of money, because as soon as it comes off, it's gone. It's a resource that can be reused. So real excited about it. When it sits in a pit for 5 years, guess what? I don't have a place. I can't utilize that again. I'm waiting for 5 years, and that's if I can get the agreement through the landowner or using state property to reclaim it and rebuild it back up again. So I'm taking that out of service. This way, are we going to ever be able to get away from DMRAs, dredge material relocation areas? Probably not. We'll need that. When you're pumping 365,000 cubic yards a year, that's a lot of material. It's a lot of material. But if it helps us be able to manage it, then we're in. It buys us some time to work out other agreements. So, That's all I got. Anybody got any questions?
Here,
Yes, sir.
if you were to mark the effluent or whatever going into the machine until you put the dirt into the dump truck, and I know you can't trace it, what kind of a time schedule would be A to Z?
From the time,
If you had a gallon of water that you could mark and see that gallon of dirt when it came out,
I couldn't tell you that.
days, weeks, months?
No. Through the machine, coming out, going in, the dredging into the machine,
Right.
and the effluent coming out, minutes.
Wow.
Minutes. So you're only talking, the slurry tank, what it actually does is when this polymer is added,
Right.
it flocculates it, makes it heavy, sinks. There's a series of augers in the bottom of this mixing tank that actually shoves that up to go across these screens. Okay? It's kind of hard to explain a lot of this just because you got to see it. I'm actually flying to Brownsville, Texas on Monday to watch this operation. So it'll be cool because I'll be able to get a whole lot of pictures. I understand it, but to explain a lot of it, it makes it tough. So 20,000 gallons. Well, when you're pumping 4,500 gallons a minute, that's being recycled every, what, 4.5 minutes? Something like that. So it's a very, very quick operation. I was in the environmental field prior to coming to the state of Ohio with the dredging. I was in charge of a division that did plate and frame, that did belt presses, centrifuge. This technology wasn't there back then. It wasn't there. So this is new for us. You know, technology has changed a bunch, but this could be a game changer for dredging across the state of Ohio. We got 12 dredges that operate across the state of Ohio. So, anyone else?
I'd like to make one comment.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate Tom and his crews up here. When I first got here 11 years ago, they thought 80,000 cubic yards was a massive year. Am I correct, Brian?
Yeah.
And he's talking, you know, if he don't make 300,000, he's mad. That, and the key part to that is, there's a study done many years ago, I don't know how accurate it is today, but many years ago, there was 140,000 cubic yards of silt that's coming into the lake every year. And they were only taking out maybe 80, maybe 50. So you're just falling behind on the curve. Now, we are getting ahead of the curve. So again, I'd like to congratulate you and your crews.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll keep you posted on this. I'll take pictures. You know, I'll share with you what I learned. You know, this is going to be a process. This isn't a, well, it worked in April. We're on 12 of these, you know, in June. It's not going to happen that way. But it gives us a lot of data on how to move forward with the program. Thank you. Have a great weekend.